This is actually a part 2 of the flu pandemic series. The other video that I created is about the mindfulness aspect and what you can do to get through the pandemic in a harmonious way, as opposed to a panicking, fear-based kind of way. You'll be able to go through and analyze what your body needs, your situation, and create your goal based on what you have discovered there. So check out that video. That video is very helpful to get to this point. This portion of the discussion is going to be about the survivalist aspect of this. What are the things that you're going to need to prepare if you have to go out shopping or going through your pantry and things that you need, and start making a list? This will help guide you so that you do not overstock. And I say that because there are 2 different ways of going about this, and we'll talk about that. Stay tuned.
Your Inner Being channel.
There are 2 different ways of preparing. There is more of a survivalist, and then there is the prepper. Now, the survivalist will look at things and prepare themselves for about maybe 2 weeks to maybe a month or 3 months, whereas prepper will look at this far more long term and go from 3 months, a year, or 3 years, or even longer. There is a lot more to prepping than there is to just your basic survivalist. So what we're going to concentrate on today is more of the survivalist aspect, because I think that's what's more appropriate for a flu pandemic. We are not expecting some Armageddon thing that's going to happen in which we have to survive longer than a month, or maybe even 2. But I'll go through this and you'll see that it's a very simple mathematical equation that, looking at this, that you can do that will simplify what you need to shop for if you don't already have. So let me start off with a small little story. I helped somebody move not long ago, and we moved this person into a small apartment, very few things. And one thing that we do know is that you don't need food for an entire day. You could go without it. But what we learned, right, is that we all need to go to the bathroom. And in most countries, like mine, we do rely on toilet paper. Other countries do have a bidet in which you can rinse yourself and sanitize yourself properly. But for us, we would need to rig something up, find an adjustment if we didn't have toilet paper. So with that said, toilet paper is actually one of the #1 things that you're going to want to have. As part of understanding your situation awareness, how many toilet paper rolls do you go through in one day in your household? Again, if it's just you, another partner, do you have children? Is there more females? Because females go through more toilet paper than men. So adjusting and figuring that out, do you go through 1 whole roll of paper a day? If you find that you're going through more than 1 roll a day, that's quite a bit, I would say. And I think a lot of people might agree that at the very minimum, a roll a day is pretty much maybe their maximum. Of course, we're talking about the flu. Sometimes the flu makes you go to the bathroom quite often. But let's just stick with the 1 roll for now. You can go out to the market and you can get yourself a package of 24 rolls. That is maybe the medium. You can get less, of course, you can get more, of course, but if we stick with 24 rolls, that's 1 month, just about 1 month's worth of toilet paper. If you're going through half a roll, then your 24 rolls has now turned into 48 days. So you're pretty good with just a pack of 24. Get yourself an extra pack. make that 20, make that 48 rolls, and you're good to go. Quite literally, you're good to go with 2 packs of 24 rolls. I think you're fine. There's no need to go out to the grocery store and start hoarding that stuff, because other people are going to need toilet paper as well, and that's really the point of all this. In order to work in harmony so that there's no crazy chaos and other people are harmed by it, because if we're doing this wrong, people will be harmed by there'll be more of a problem with the pandemic, there'll be more of a problem with the panic than there is with the actual pandemic. So doing this together carefully, keeping in mind what your needs are, and allowing other people to be able to take care of themselves is really important. So moving on from the toilet paper, we are looking at frozen foods. Frozen vegetables or even fruit is very, very useful because of the way they're packaged. They don't have a lot of preservatives to them, so it's still healthy for you if you were to freeze your food. Meat, if you're a meat eater, then it's a lot easier to calculate that way. If you have 3 steaks, that's 3 portions. Again, doing the math with how many people are in your family, how many people you're looking after, you can then start to times that in order to calculate how many meals you can get out of that. Honestly, especially during a survival situation, if you're a person who just loves meat and you have to have meat every day, you might want to consider trying to not have meat every day. I'm just throwing that one out there at you because you don't need meat every day, and we're talking about what you do need in order to survive. Surviving is the key word here. We're just doing what we need to survive. So with that said, other things such as canned food is good, but canned food is not healthy for you. It's loaded with salts and preservatives. But maybe you don't have a big freezer and you do have a big pantry, so you can't freeze as much. But now here's where the cans are good for you, right? These cans can last over a year. So that's your prepper's go-to, is the canned food. Well, get what you need for canned. Again, you don't need 100 cans of beans when all you need is 5. You know, like, you figure that out. Also, something to consider, when you're getting things like spaghetti sauce, you can get pre-made already spaghetti sauce in a can. That's very useful. However, if you buy the ingredients such as crushed tomatoes or diced tomatoes, you can spend a lot less and get more for your money by doing that. So you can create a bigger portion of spaghetti sauce for less money if you already bought one pre-made in a can. Now, of course, you got the flu. You don't feel like cooking. So maybe that can of pre-made spaghetti sauce is exactly what you're looking for. And again, you can get canned fruit. I would say one of the bigger mistakes is overabundance of flour. I see all these people buying these big bags of 13 pounds of flour. You're not a prepper. That would be a nice prepper thing to do. Really, just a 5 bag of flour probably gets you through the month, because what are you doing with that? Maybe you're baking a lot of bread. Sure, okay, that'd be good. You can also buy bread if you have a freezer and you have enough room left in your freezer. Buy bread. But if you're making your own bread, again, that gets a little bit tough when you have the flu. When you have the flu, you don't feel like doing a lot of things. So that's something to consider. But again, you don't need to buy a bunch of bags of flour when all you're making is bread or a few things. Pancakes is a nice easy meal too that you can make with flour with a few other ingredients. Noodles are a really good thing. They're really quick and easy to make. It doesn't take up a lot of energy to do that, and you can do a lot of variety of cooking with just noodles. Now, we are again talking about being sick, so you're definitely going to want to stock up on some medicine. Ibuprofen for headaches and fever is a really good thing. So you're going to want to have some ibuprofen. But let's face it, there are some really good cold and flu medicines out on the market. Find the one that you like, stock up on that. Daytime, nighttime, whatever it is, just stock up reasonably, because again, you don't want to leave other people in the dark. When we are in a panic, like so we shut down, we have this barrier and we are only fending for ourselves. Once you've gone through that mindfulness video, you'll be able to open up those barriers, and then I don't have to keep explaining to you this keep in mind of other people, because when you're taking your medicine, especially medicine, take what you need and judge for yourself what you need, and then stick with that. Elderly people and young children are a huge victim of these flus, because their immune system is down, and you want to make sure that they have enough medicine to help them. They could die just because their immune system is just out of whack. The foods that you buy and stock up on are things that you're going to want to take care of for your immune system. Again, we're just here for a couple of weeks to a month. That's all we're preparing for. So within that time, you may have to sacrifice some of your favorite meals in order to eat something a little bit healthier. So with that said, I would stick with healthy foods that will boost your immune system, such as spinach, a really good one, parsley, greens of all kinds really, but you know, you're talking about broccoli, garlic, ginger, turmeric, mushrooms, oysters. Look, I don't like oysters. And there's a good list of about 10 to 15 items that are really good for your immune system. You know what? Whey protein. Go stock up on some whey protein. That will give you an abundance of nutrition that you can really benefit from. Fighting the disease, we want to have some ammunition on that, so we're going to want to have some sanitizers of some kind. So get the aerosol sprays, get the ones that wipe your counters with, get the hand ones that, you know, they're the gels to help eliminate those. They kill off 99.99% of germs, viruses. These are things that are going to help you tremendously, so stock up on those. And soap, I see people stocking up on soap. Again, the prepper versus survivalist means that how much of a soap do you go through in a week or a month? So your little dispensers that you have in your bathroom or whatnot, how often do you fill those up? Do you buy a new one, or do you buy the tubs to fill those up with? Because those tubs are about $5-6 and they're about this size, and they can last you longer than a month. Even if you are washing your hands all the time because of the flu, one of those is all you need. Buy yourself 2, but don't buy yourself 10. You don't need that for just a couple of weeks. Now, pet food, cats, dogs, whatever animal that you have, get enough food for them and supplies. You will notice that I didn't mention water, and there's a really good reason for that. If you buy your water normally, that is something that you're going to want to stock up on. It's quite simple. You're going to want to have enough. We're not preparing for a crisis like a power outage of any kind. We're not preparing for a weather disaster. No meteor is falling. So when you're choosing right now, like I said, when you're picking out your goal, what is it that you're trying to achieve? You're trying to achieve a flu pandemic. You're not out there to prepare for natural disasters. All these things that I mentioned are some things that can be a little bit hard on the budget. So you may want to start now. You want to start before the pandemic starts to happen, because you don't know how much money it's going to cost you. But then again, there's always doing things on the cheap. I do highly recommend the foods that are really good for boosting your immune system. That's part of a tactic to get over the flu. But otherwise, if you have to eat something as simple as basic noodles all the time, or just bread and butter all the time, something that you probably could afford, then that's what you got to do. That's your game plan for this. And it's really, really, really disgusting to hear that at times during these crises, that people are out to hoard and do some bartering. Gathering items for bartering is a great strategy for prepping. If you knew that there's, you're prepping for natural disasters, you're prepping for doomsday apocalypse, whatever it is that's on your mind that's causing you to do some prepping for a long period of time, bartering is a great thing to prepare for. In this case, I highly disagree that finding items to barter is in any way useful. When we're looking at a global civilization who is all in this together, which is what the whole pandemic thing is, when they announce it, the whole announcement for a pandemic means that all governments all around the world are in this together. That means all businesses and work relationships are in this together, and all of you, each individual, has to take action. So you're all in it together. So don't ruin it by becoming somebody who is robbing other people from from opportunities to survive, and then using the things that you've gathered as a way of gathering power over someone else. You don't need to barter. There is zero need to barter in this case. Bartering could be good for those who, I forgot some sugar. I forgot to count that I have some sugar. Does my neighbor have some sugar? Oh, you do. Can you spare a little bit of sugar? That's perfectly fine. That's helpful. That's a neighbor helping out another neighbor. I don't have to explain more than that. I think we all understand what kind of a person that could be. If that in any way is you, consider changing. Hope that reflects on you to become better. You do not need a bartering tool in this case. Again, the bartering tools are great because even preppers, it's hard for all preppers to prepare for all things. So bartering is a great tool for, I have an abundance of this because this is what I thought I would prepare for. In the meantime, I forgot something. I didn't invest in certain things and now I need it. For example, maybe I'm a single male and I gathered all my stuff. I prepped all my stuff for just me. And now at the time of the crisis, I have a female. And now that female might need female products, tampons. So now I need to barter with somebody else because that's just the dynamics of the situation that I'm in that I didn't even prepare for. So now I'm doing bartering with somebody else for some tampons for the female that I'm with. Things can change at any time, and there's a reason for bartering. There's a really good reason for bartering, and power should be not one of the reasons to have power over other people. So keep that in mind. Now, garbage bags is another one that I forgot to mention. You're going to want to be able to have some garbage bags in order to clean up everything, right? You're going to be going through garbage throughout the weeks. It's best to have enough garbage bags. But with that said, I really think that that's all that I can really think of that's really a necessity. Of course, you can stock up on all your favorite things such as coffee or specialty drinks, things like that. You can, some treats. You can definitely treat yourself if you're going to be staying in the house for so long. Give yourself some morale boosters. But if you find that you have to go out into the public, maybe that month is up and you need to go back out to resupply or any other reason, What you're going to want is some gloves. Get yourself a pack of rubber gloves. Especially if, say, you're an old person, right? You're an elderly person where you're really susceptible to catching the virus and dying. Who cares what anyone else is going to say? Put some gloves on. Maybe you have to go out and get yourself some fresh vegetables, and that's what you're doing. Maybe you need to go see your doctor. Go out there with some gloves on, and that'll be very useful. They're not too expensive either. And that brings to the last item, which is the mask. The mask is a bit of a doomsday prepper kind of item that you can get on the market. And there are all kinds of different masks that you can get. You can get the big biological warfare masks out there. With all these face masks, you can easily get the wrong one, because out of the many that you can buy out on the market, just go to a hardware store and whatnot, they're not designed to hold back viruses. They're there for other things that are airborne, but viruses in particular are small enough to get through all of that. So you need a particular one that is specific for airborne pathogens such as germs and viruses, which are hard to get. So I don't want to talk about that too much because they are hard to get. You do need to make sure that it's fully sealed, and which is another big mistake that you see. You see people in China and Japan, again, they're just wearing regular doctor's masks, and they're not fully sealed around. It's not really doing anything at all. Not only can it get into there, but it can actually get through the weaving that makes up the mask. So you're not really protecting yourself that much from it. So gloves, mask, if you can get the appropriate one, that would be the last thing I would put on this list. So with that said, as you can see, the list isn't tremendously long, and it's also a list that is reasonable. These are all things that you're going to want to think about. These are all things that you use every day. And you'll notice that if you just do a little bit of math, you'll discover you don't need as much as you thought you did. So everyone running out to get all those bags of toilet paper and flour and all that, it's really overkill. You're not prepping. If you were a prepper, I would understand that. And if you're interested in prepping, it's a whole science and it's very interesting, and I know a fair amount about it. I could do a discussion on it, but that's not what we're doing today. But prepping is long term and takes a long time to do. If there's one thing that I have learned about prepping, is that if you're a beginner, you think you got it, you think you know it. I'm sure a lot of you might be thinking right now, yeah, I can do prepping. There is a lot more to prepping. The more you dig into it and the more you find out, you start checking off little ticks on your list of to gets and to do, and then you realize that there's a lot more to do, and it becomes really, really abundant and specialized thing to do. Prepping is a lot of energy, a lot of education, and a lot of time. Survivalist is more reasonable, and this is something that we all can easily do. But running out and getting overstocked is counterintuitive and causes more damage to the economy and to other people than what you think you're doing. So just take the time and find out what your goals are, what your needs are, and then move accordingly. And I hope this list is a good list for you, and I hope you consider that if the time were to ever come for you to need to do so. And if you like what you see here and you like this series, please give a like or subscribe to the channel. And until next time, take care, and I wish you well.
Thank you for watching.